ប្រតិបត្តិជាកណ្ដាលមិនលាយច្រឡំដោយអន្តធម៌ទាំងឡាយពីរយ៉ាងនោះឯងដែលតថាគតបានត្រាស់ដឹងហើយជាសេចក្តីប្រតិបត្តិធ្វើឲ្យកើតបញ្ញាចាខុសផ្នែកគឺប្រាជ្ញាធ្វើឲ្យកើតសេចក្តីដឹងច្បាស់ប្រកបប្រមែងប្រព្រឹត្តទៅដើម្បីសេចក្តីស្ងប់រងាប់ដើម្បីសេចក្តីដឹងចំពោះដើម្បីសេចក្តីដឹងដោយប្របីដើម្បីសេចក្តីរំលត់ទងកតមាចសាភិកវេមេជិមេបដិបទាតថាគតេនអភិសម្បទាចាខុករណីញាណករណីឧបសម្មាយអភិញ្ញយសម្ពោធាយនពានេយសង្វតតេមនាភិក្ខុទាំងឡាយក៏សេចក្តីប្រតិបត្តិជាកណ្ដាលដែលតថាគតបានត្រាស់ដឹងហើយជាសេចក្តីប្រតិបត្តិធ្វើឲ្យកើតបញ្ញាចាក៏ធ្វើឲ្យកើតសេចក្តីដឹងច្បាស់ប្រកបរមែងប្រព្រឹត្តទៅដើម្បីសេចក្តីស្ងប់រងាប់ដើម្បីសេចក្តីដឹងចំពោះដើម្បីសេចក្តីដឹងដោយប្របីដើម្បីសេចក្តីរំលត់ទោសលោតាដូចមកដែងអយមេវៈអរិយោអថង្គិកោមគ្គោអថង្គិកមគ្គគឺធម៌ដូចជាផ្លូវមានអង្គ8ដល់ប្រសានេះឯងហៅថាសេចក្តីប្រតិបត្តិជាកណ្ដាលសយថៃទាំងអថង្គិកមគ្គនោះដូចមកដែងខ្លាសម្មាទិដ្ឋិប្រាជ្ញាយល់ឃើញត្រូវសម្មាសង្កប្បោសេចក្តីត្រេះរិះត្រូវសម្មាវាចាសម្ដីត្រូវសម្មាកម្មន្តោការងារត្រូវសម្មាអាជីវកិរិយាចិញ្ចឹមជីវិតត្រូវសម្មាវាយាមោជាយាមត្រូវសម្មាសតិសេចក្តីរលឹកត្រូវសម្មាសមាធិកិរិយាតម្កល់ចិនឲ្យនឹងត្រូវអយ៉ាងខោសាភិកវេមេជិមេបដិបទាតថាគតេនអភិសម្បទាចាខុករណីញាណករណីឧបសម្មាយអភិញ្ញយសម្បទាយនពានេយសង្វតតេមនាភិក្ខុទាំងឡាយអថង្គិកមគ្គនេះឯងដែលហៅថាសេចក្តីប្រតិបត្តិជាកណ្ដាលដែលតថាគតបានត្រាស់ដឹងហើយជាសេចក្តីប្រតិបត្តិធ្វើឲ្យកើតបញ្ញាចាខុសធ្វើឲ្យកើតសេចក្តីដឹងច្បាស់ប្រកបរមែងប្រព្រឹត្តទៅដើម្បីសេចក្តីស្ងប់
Sangha. And greetings to everyone that are following us live right here with us this morning in Seattle time. And my respect to Venerable Home Camera and Venerable Sok TV that are here in this platform. And welcome to Dhammika Life Dhammasandana program. This program is brought to you by the Dhammika Life Foundation, which is led by our most Venerable Sok TV. And this program is usually hosted in Khmer and English, switches interchangeably every Fridays. Currently is operating at 8:30 p.m. in Cambodia time and 6:30 Seattle time due to our time zone. And so we're adjusting to accommodate the time. And happy Thai, is a happy Khmer, Thai, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Nepal New Year. Again, let me say it again. Happy Khmer, Thai, Lao, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Nepal New Year. So our today's subject is on bathing of the Buddha. And before we start our program, I would like to briefly take this opportunity to introduce our guest speakers of today, which you already might know them already. So our first speaker is Venerable Home Camera. He is an executive director of the National Cambodian Buddhist Center, Sri Lanka. Bhante is also the meditation trainer, and certainly currently he is staying at Vipassana Buddhist Center in Udong of Cambodia. And our second speaker is Venerable Sok TV. He is the founder of Dhammika Life Foundation, a nonprofit organization aiming at promoting Buddhist teaching Venerable leads and teaches Buddhism in English courses to help Dhamma friends to better understand not only the English terminology, but also the Buddhist teaching and chanting. Currently, Venerable is residing at Wat Kamai, Hawaii, Buddha Ram, Big Island, Hawaii, USA. And so in culture around the world, people have their own way of celebrating New Year, depending on their own traditional historical facts that carries from generation to generations, and sometimes has gone through transformational change due to geopolitical and economic influence. So I am so excited that we are discussing this subject because it's our Cambodian New Year starts day here in US. And in Khmer, I believe it's already started because of the time zone. They're 14 hours ahead of us here from Seattle. So for us, Cambodia, we have our own traditional celebrations. And so it's known as the, say, New Year celebration. The word simply means, we say, ពាក្យខ្មែរថាចូលឆ្នាំថ្មីអ្នកខ្លះថាបុណ្យចូលឆ្នាំថ្មីប្រពៃណីជាតិពាក្យសាមញ្ញខ្លះថាចូលឆ្នាំថ្មីអ្នកខ្លះថាសង្ក្រាន្ត so we have our own story to tell about our traditions Cambodian New Year. So among the 3 days, because we have 3 days for our Cambodian for the New Year's, among the 3 days we're going to deep dive on the very last day of celebration, which we call in Cambodia Pati Sarang Preh, right? So direct translation called bathing of the Buddha. But there's more significant to this meaning of bathing the Buddha. So among the New Year's Day, on that very last day, one important celebration, there is a history behind this celebration of cleansing of the Buddha. So we'll discuss what is the history of our new year, and I'm sure it could be involved with the Buddhism history, what it's about, and where the word comes from. So we'll have our expert guest speakers of today to dive deeper on the histories of the New Year's bathing of the Buddha and what does it mean. And so I will start with Venerable Kunkemra. And so why is it important that I'm sorry, you can hear my computer is getting old. And so it sounds like it's a fan blowing. So why is it important that so-called Buddha bathing celebrated attached to the third of our New Year celebration? Can this be done in any other event rather than during the New Year celebration?
Yeah, thank you, sister, for the question. So before starting answering the question, let me pay my respect to the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha, and dear Venerable Sirs, and especially Venerable Maniputta Saktivi, and our friends in Dhamma around the globe, especially Sister Sakon, the moderator, and technical teams. So, yeah, each and every cultural phenomena has its own background, the historical background where it started and its origins. So there are many aspects in terms of Buddha bathing ceremony. But first, according to Buddhist philosophy, these kinds of ritual had been practiced by the kings at the Buddha's time. So the one very obvious example is King Pasenadi Kosala, who invited the Buddha and monks to come to his house, to his palace, and offered lunch to the monks and did different kinds of respect to the Buddha and monks. But according to the scripture, the Buddha was invited to have the shower, to have a bath, and I mean many rituals followed. And not only that, according to the scripture, I think at the time of the Buddha named Saranankara, one king, his name was Puparaja. In Khmer, you call Puparaj, invited Most Venerable Usaba uh, to his place, to his residence, and invited him for having shower and did many rituals. So the purpose of kinds of ritual is in order to accumulate, merits. In Khmer, you call bond, because they believe that having kinds of respect to the virtuous one, the worthy one, they might be born in different, higher celestial being, or if they happen to become a human again, they will be, wealthy, healthy, and so on. So, and according Buddhist philosophy, it kinds of respect. You respect your teacher, you respect your master, and so even though uh, there is no any connection between the new year, but from my understanding, our ancestors, because we are Indian descended, I mean, in terms of culture and philosophy, so our ancestors, integrate the Buddhist philosophy into our Khmer New Year. We're having kinds of practice, uh, and according to the history, even different kings practice these kinds of ritual. And one obvious example is King Jayavarman the VII. He, decorated uh, the ceremony, and he asked his, you know, ministers to bring, I think, around 25. I forget the number, and they have different kinds of ceremony, respect, worshipping, cleaning. So then all the Buddha statues were sent back to to the sacred places. So having kinds of ritual is, because we strongly believe in sacred, entities. By doing kinds of respect or ritual in return, we will be blessed, we will be protected, so and so on. So this is what I know, and I hopefully Venerable Sokti we have has more to add. So thank you, Sister Sakwa.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It does involve with the histories of the king and the different rituals. And do you have any thing to add, Venerable Suktivi?
Okay, thank you. Happy New Year, first of all. Let me pay homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and my great respect to Venerable Gaspar on camera from Cambodia. Good morning from Hawaii. Now is New Year in Cambodia. New Year already started in Cambodia because it's today is the April 14th. So I hope everybody is enjoying the celebration of Cambodian New Year. Thai, Laos, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and some part of India and Nepal too. They also celebrate the similar New Year. We cannot say the same, but it's quite very similar that some countries in Southeast Asia continent as well as in South Asia celebrate quite similar New Year that is exactly on in April. So we see to the similarity between some cultures situated in Southeast Asia. So today we discussion is on basing of the Buddha statue. That is one of the significant point in the Khmer New Year, normally celebrated in the day 3 of the Khmer New Year celebration. every year people enjoy doing this, and I think it becomes very popular with basing of the Buddha statue. Since I was very young boy, we usually go to the temple, and we always see our seniors and the villagers, they enjoying so much with that kind of ritual. They say, oh, now Piti Srang Preh is coming up. So please, everybody, if you have time, please volunteer going to the temple and have cleaning up the Buddha statues. So if we see, you know, physically from the apparently the way we see it, the activity is how to say, it's very mobilization. Kind of get people together from the village to help clean up the temple. This is one of the main idea. I think it has very significant mobilization in it. How these our old people, how to say, the senior people get the young generation to come to the temple and help cleaning up everything in the temple, especially not only the Buddha. When there is a new year coming up, people like to have the monks to clean up the whole temple, because this they believe they can gain merit by so doing, cleaning up the temple in the whole Prahvihir, the shrine hall, not only just the Buddha statue. I remember when I was a small novice monk, in my temple, we used to have like a huge Buddha image enshrined in the Prahvihir. And then I remember we clean up everything during the last day of Khmer New Year. We start from the big Buddha in the shrine hall, and then we started to clean the Buddha in the dining hall, and then everywhere in the temple. And mainly we focus on the Buddha statue, but actually not only the Buddha statue, everything in the temple. This is a good idea that maybe in our temple during the new year or not, or every day, every month, we don't have time to clean up. So new year, when the time people come together, so we take this opportunity to invite people, to clean up everything. And this is one of the main idea. On the other hand, um, cleaning up or basing the Buddha statue is an act of kind of it has its spiritual significances. It's symbolizing the inner purification of our own heart. When we pour water to the infant Buddha or to the Buddha statue, it also express we cleaning up not only the physical body, but we should clean up our our heart. It's easy to clean our dirt, with the water, with the perfume, but to clean the mind is not easy. That's why it's kind of expression that as human being, we need to clean up our mind. We need to develop our faith, our wisdom. On the other hand, it's a kind of connection with the Buddha himself. As a Buddhist, when we do the cleaning or basing the Buddha statue, we kind of develop our good connection with the Buddha, right? We develop saddha, confidence, and the lightness in the Buddha as well. And on the other hand, when we base the Buddha, we used to we use the fragrant water, the water which is mixed with perfumed and flowers. We the water is not simple like we use every day, but normally we use the perfume, we use the flowers to decorate with it, to make it good smell, to make it clean and clear. So it represent the purity, the purity of our own heart, that we want to pour this pure water to the Buddha's body. And I think just one of the uh, relation between this idea, like Venerable Kaspar already raised about the historical background, why there is such tradition to base the Buddha statue, and it's not only on specific Cambodian New Year. I think in the Buddhist tradition, from one generation to another, especially during the Vesak day, even Bokaspa, we see in many countries around the world, we do this, pouring water to the infant Buddha. Yeah, we see even in United States of America, in Chinese tradition, in Burmese tradition, we always have this pouring water to the Buddha statues. Not only on Vesak Day as well, on a daily basis when I was in Burma, pouring water, basing the Buddha statues has become a daily ritual for Buddhists, especially in Myanmar, where they have like the stupa, they call the pagoda. Yeah, actually it's a chetiya, and then they have the Buddha statue around it by putting the name, like from Monday to Sunday. So those who may be born like from Monday, and then they go pay respect to the Buddha with the name of Monday, and then they pour the water by asking forgiveness, by asking for blessings and happiness, whatever they want to do. So they just giving a water to wash the Buddha, they make their heart happy. So it's like a way to cleanse their heart as well. When they watch the Buddha, they feel happy, they feel delighted in the Buddha's attribute, they feel so joyful in so doing, and that has become their tradition and their daily ritual already, not necessarily on any specific event or New Year or Vesak Day. But we see that this is one of the very important ritual in Buddhism that symbolizes many kinds of good development in the quality of our spiritual practice, in the quality of developing saddha or confidence in the Buddha's attribute and so on. But there's so many other significances we can discuss more. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Wow, there's a lot of. I like the part when you, Venerable Soktivi, I do like to get the water with the spraying with the beautiful colognes and the flowers in there, and it's refreshing to. I know the New Year it's refreshing to get that. That water sprinkle on me, and as you can see, it is involved with a different era of the king, and it's the water, the bathing, the water blessing is like a ritual, so it is involved with the Buddhist history. And so, Venerable on camera, when does this celebration started that related to the third day, when it's created, and who created during what era? So does that make sense? So I'm pretty sure during that it is you did mention that the relationship related to that. So and also we wanted to see if our audience would like to have any questions and on this, if they have any questions, we have two experts here to answer because and so yeah, when does this celebration start that related to the third day? When it's created and who created during what era, if you don't mind enlightening us. Thank you.
So the particular ritual has no the exact date. That is the toughest thing that in terms of tracing back the history of kinds of ritual. But as I mentioned earlier, even it happened at the times of the Buddha Saranangkara, like countless eon from our present day. But according to our history, as I mentioned, there are different kings who practice the same thing. But in particular, according to history, King Jayavaramana VII, he did these kinds of ritual. He asked his ministers to bring the 25 Buddha statues to open place, and they did a ritual. bathe the Buddha by the fragrant water and do different kinds of respect and chanting, and then bring the Buddha's statues back to the sacred places for offering and for respect. So accordingly, it's about, I think, 12th century, to the best of my knowledge, because I'm not good at history. I'm sorry. So this is the record according to the history. And as well, let me add this. I think because the day, I mean, the third day is kind of this is the day that we gain the blessing, and it kinds of absorbing the fortune for our life. ខ្មែរយើងថាថ្ងៃឡើងស័កព្រះអង្គសុខទេមែនទេ Yeah. So and so we believe as Buddhist practitioners, in order to gain the blessing and the fortune or the happiness, what we have to do is we have to respect. The person should be respected. So from our Buddhist philosophy, the person we should highly respected is the Buddha. So in return, through respecting, bathing him, we will get the real blessing, because we accumulate the merits. We are cultivating the spiritual conviction. I use this word, the spiritual conviction, spiritual confidence, believing that the Buddha attained enlightenment, and he sacrificed his entire life to purify the human minds, if you are willing to seek for happiness. So as Venerable Saktivi mentioned, that it's kinds of spiritual connection with the Buddha. So that's all from me, Sister Sakon.
Thank you. Venerable Saktivi, would you like to have anything that in connections with this this third day, because I know you've mentioned a lot, but would you like to have or add anything else that?
Yeah, I mean, because normally our Khmer New Year celebrated for 3 days, so they have their spiritual significance for each of the day. It's like since the start of the New Year day, like this year it starts on Friday. So Friday is the time for like preparing to receive the new angel of the year. As the tradition goes, we always believe in the heavenly angel that takes turn to come down to the earth and take care the world. So as Buddhists, as Cambodian people around the world, we always believe in good deed. That's why we pay respect to the Devata that takes time or takes turn to come down to the earth. So we arrange the table as a kind of a sacred altar to welcome the Devata. And by so doing, we expect the blessing from the New Year angel as well. This is as the tradition goes. And that pretty much on the very first day. And then people go to the temple, they clean up the temple, preparing, setting up the Buddha statues and the place for chanting or worshiping, praying. Even at home, in the village, people kind of clean up, set up everything, to welcome the new year and in order to expect the blessing from the new year. So they kind of clean up to make the environment clean and friendly. And then the second day, we call Viravanabad is like the middle, in the middle, like the 0 day. It's not the old year, it's not the new year, right? So in between, they go to the temple, they do some merit, like meritorious deeds by making food, offering, giving alms to the monks at the temple. In this second day, also very important traditional ritual where people go to the temple by wearing beautiful traditional clothes. We have so many different kinds of traditional uniforms or outfits, and then uh, by going to the temple, people come together and sharing happiness, sharing whatever they have, especially sharing the food during the Khmer New Year. Yeah, I know that the ladies, they're very good chef. They cook very well, so they kind of bring different kinds of dishes to the temple so they can share with the monks, they can share with the public as well, kind of potluck like that. And then after that they also have enjoy the traditional games, a lot of popular games that our ancestors created in the sake of kind of uh, for the spirit of solidarity, invite people to come and play together happily. They don't mind each other during the new year. They just play everything they want, especially the traditional popular games that we have, like Chao Chung, like Bang Kun, Tiên Proat, something like that. It's such a good traditional games that brings the spirit of unity and solidarity among the people. And as we also aware that the new year is it's a time for family reunion, and also it's a time to reconnect the people. Some friends, some family have separated for many years, many months. So during the new year they come together and play together. So it's kind of reconnecting each other, to be friendly and to share. This is the second spiritual, or also the important uh, activities on the day two, and then the final day. That's why the Piti Srang Preh, or basing of the Buddha statues, plays very significant role for the third day, as we believe that the third day is the start of the New Year day. We call Virat Langsa. It's the time of transitioning from the old year to the new year. So when the transitioning of the new year day, the start of another year, we believe that in our tradition we need to do something good, right, to start off the day, to start off the year. We should not start off our year with uh, bad mind, with evil, cruel, wicked idea, or wicked, bad action, so to speak. We must start, even every day of our life, we must start the day with our smile, at least to have a good smile for ourselves. So this is very important ritual that we start out the new year with good deed. That's why you see in the Cambodian, especially those who live in Cambodia, we experience the hot, very warm season in April, especially April and May is the hottest season in Cambodia. So by pouring water to the Buddha statue plays very important role in that case, because it's a hot season. So water is needed to cool down, right? To kind of cool down your physical body. At the same time, it represents a way to cool down your heart as well. And further than that, we're not only basing the Buddha. After the Buddha, the people also base the monks. Base the monk. They not only just doing it, for example, like in America here, we normally don't wash the monks like the way we base ourselves, because it's very cold in some state, like Washington State, Seattle. Sometime during New Year, it's still very cold. So we just use the flour to kind of soak with water and place on the monk's hands, just like that. But in Cambodia, we base the monks. People bring many pots of water, and then they just base the monk, especially the men. They wash the monk with the soap, with the shampoo. Yeah, they clean the monk. They wash the dirt for the monk in in a way of kind of expression for, gratitude that the monk have done towards them. On the other hand, it also expresses respect, respect toward the monks who are endowed with good virtue and morality and so on. So it's a kind of good spiritual development where people come together and do goodness to express their good deed, good heart towards those who are worthy of virtue. And after the monks, they also base the parents, they base their grateful one, the parents, the grandparents, and also the senior in the village, in the temple, grandma, grandpa, they all base for them. And it's such a joyful activity. Even when I'm speaking like this, I'm still seeing the image of that activity is still, in my mind, that every time when there is a new year, we always remember to do the basing of the Buddha, basing the monks, and then basing our seniors, our villagers. Such a happy moment. I still remember that very happy experience, and it's very good tradition to keep up for our young generation as well. But make sure that we keep up with good tradition, but we shouldn't add up more things that kind of cause harm during that day. I mean, like in terms of playing water, people like to sprinkle, like to splash the water towards each other. Just make sure that you don't cause any harm to each other, by splashing water and so on. We play for happiness, we play for solidarity, but just to the limit that we don't cause harm to anybody, to the driver, as we see in some countries like Thailand, in Myanmar. So I've been there during the New Year, and I observed that the tradition of splashing water is very popular in Myanmar and in Thailand, even more than Cambodia. And sometimes it causes harm or danger if we're not aware. That's why we should not be too much like overjoyed. Whatever we're doing, we should keep it to the limit that it does not cause harm to one and to others. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I remember I was reading the one of the news. Sometime they take it too far, washing, spraying so much water. He can danger or throw water at each other. Sometimes it's very dangerous. So thank you for that's very very delightful for both Venerable to enlighten us with the. So it started with the 12th century, like Venerable verse about, like Venerable Hunkemra mentioned, and it's a way of observing and for give good fortune. And Venerable Toktibi, it's spiritual connections. It's mentioned as spiritual connections with a unity, and it's like a unity meeting families and friends together. But I like the part when you mentioned Venerable Toktibi, cool down, a way to cool down your heart. Can you express a little bit more? I like that. Is there any other explanations when you say cool down your heart? It could be different things.
Yeah,
and
it
so,
means your heart is hot, right? Your heart is hot. Your heart is burned. Yeah,
okay.
the heart is burned by three kinds of fire, according to Buddhism. Our heart, our mind, always burn with three fires in every day of our life. We may not aware or we may aware, but this is reality. The heart is always burned with three fires. The fire of passion, right? The fire of lust or greed, attachment. And then the fire of anger, aversion, hatred. And the last one, the fire of delusion or ignorance, bewilderment, darkness. So these are the three kinds of fire that always burn our heart. So water is cool, right?
Right.
Water is cool. We're not talking about the hot water. The water is cool. So we must cleanse our burning hot with the cool water. So water can be can we can talk about um, the spiritual meaning is the Dharma, right? The Dharma is like the water, the cool water that can cool down our heart to vanish the fire from our heart only with the Dharma. So in the teaching of the Buddha, there are many particular factors of the Dhamma that we can use to cool down the heart, even by just doing the 10 kusala karma, right? The 10 wholesome deeds, through our body, through our speech and the mind, then we can uh, um, eradicate the fire from our mind. So it is also important message in the teaching of the Buddha in order to gain the blessing. People usually expect what we say Serai Baipraka, three kinds of blessing from the new year. So they ask where the blessing lies during the new year if we were to expect the blessings of the new year. And then in the teaching of the Buddha, blessing does not comes by chance or come accidentally. It must has the cause. We must plant the seed so we get the fruit. In the same way, the blessing is not handed or gifted by anyone other than us, other than our own deeds and actions. So the action through three ways: physical action, verbal action, and mental action. So, what is the blessing that comes through our physical action? So, we do good, like to refrain from not harming others. Okay. So, we should not cause harm to others, especially to celebrate the new year. In any activities, you should not cause harm physically to others. And verbally, during the new year, you should not, yeah, using some harmful words or useless words, frivolous talk and lying and backbiting, defaming, and so on. That these are the blessing that come through your mouth, that come through verbal action. No lying, no backbiting, no harsh word, yeah, no frivolous talk. We only talk something that is useful, like to speak of the Dharma, to kind of give a good conversation to each other, something like that. So you gain the blessing with your good speech, right, at the right time with the right person, and speak with good heart. And then the last one, the blessing come through your mind. So when your mind is pure, no delusion, no wrong understanding, no covetousness or greed, attachment, no aversion or hatred, and then your mind is pure of this fire, the fire that keeps burning in the heart. In every day of our life we have this fire. That's why water is a good symbol of cooling down the heart. I hope Venerable Gaspar will add to that.
Yes, Venerable, would you like to add that as well?
Yeah, in one discourse, to the best of my memory, Kakuchupama Sutta, that there was a monk who was very furious with his friends, and the Buddha taught monks to train their mind according to the water. Like, for example, there is a man with a torch, and with the mind that I will burn this water, or I will destroy this sea, or can be a lake, by using this torch, the firelight, that the torch. But you know what happened when you put the torch into the water? You know what happened to the torch. So Buddha say, monks, please train your mind as the water. And another point is, water has very special sign, that the flexibility, when you put the water into the bottle, it's become uh, water bottle. When you put it into the glass, it become a water of glass of water. Even you see the river, the waterfall, it has its own flexibility. It penetrate or can go through any kinds of bends or obstacles, struggle. So it reflects another kinds of spirituality that you have to make your mind more flexible with the teachings of the Buddha, that you can overcome any kinds of obstacles, not to be that solid, not to be that firm. Sometimes when it comes to the obstacles in life, you have to train your mind like the water, cool and flexible. So that's all from me, Sister Sakon.
Lovely, it's very delightful explanations. Thank you for both Venerable and Venerable Soktavi. Can these celebrations be only to cleaning the Buddha statue alone, or can it be done or conduct on other individual traditionally?
Yeah, yeah, we can do it on any occasion at home too. You don't need to do it just in a temple. If you have the Buddha statue at home, you do it, with your family. Invite your whole family to come and do it. And one more idea that I would like to express, I've been doing this every day in my temple. We have the Buddha statues everywhere, but importantly, we have two Buddha outdoor under the Bodhi tree. So with those two Buddhas, I bathe the Buddha every day and mostly twice a day. Early in the morning after my chanting and meditation, like 6 a.m. And then in the evening, before we start our chanting, like in the evening, and sometime, yeah, often I do it in the daytime as well. So you know what? My experience. I would like to share my experience. It makes me happy. It makes me happy, and that is most important thing. Why we base the Buddha? You will feel that connection by yourself. By saying, by listening, it's not enough. You should try yourself, see, and if it makes you happy. So whatever you do, if that is good and beneficial, and if it makes you happy, you will keep doing that without any request. You're just doing it automatically and voluntarily. So that's what I've been doing every day at my temple. I watch the Buddha every day. It cool down my heart. It makes me happy. It makes me, kind of build up more confidence and mindfulness. And then it rebuild my kind of spiritual connection with the Buddhas, like the Buddha was still alive. Like me in front of the Buddha and pay respect to him. When we pay respect to the statue, we remind of the Buddha's good qualities, right? The Buddha's attribute of compassion, loving kindness, wisdom, purity, and so on. So this is why very important we should do it on a daily basis, not only during the New Year. And you do it at your home if you have the Buddha statue. Anything, even if you're not Buddhist, you may have the statue of your respectful one. Anybody, maybe your parents idol or statue, you can watch, you can base, because it's a kind of good connection with your beloved person, with your respectful person. That's it.
Uh, thank you. Venerable Home Camera, can it also be, so in celebration pertaining to cleaning the Buddha alone, or not only cleaning the Buddha, but so both Venerable mentioned it is a spiritual cleaning, or can also be kind of like a gratitude to whom it's important to all of us. So I noticed that during the New Year, we bathe, flower the water of the monk, the Buddha first, then the monk, and then we have elderlies that sit that we do that as well, right? And so is a way of showing the gratitude. Is that correct? And so, would you like to expand that to us? I know that probably some of our audience would like to know about that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sister. And besides what Venerable Soktivi had mentioned, what I would like to add is this practice or ritual is a reflection that we have to clean uh, not only the Buddha statue but our home, because if you are in Cambodia, not even in Cambodia, even in Sri Lanka, because I have been there, like when the new year is coming, around the corner, or people are very busy, cleaning their home, buying new clothes, and do different stuff. So it's one point. And as Venerable Saktivi said, when the Buddha statues are at our home, you know, when we keep cleaning every day by watering, or not, if you don't have time to bathe, like you can bring different kinds of cloth, you can wipe it, you can clean it. So it's a it's really it's a connection, because let me make this point. Most of our Buddhist practitioners forget that Shraddha, or in Khmer you call Satya, so my term is, I use spiritual conviction, is not that important, but in reality, spiritual conviction is very important as a Buddhist. So one day, Sakar Devendra, mean the Prean in Khmer, the head of the uh, celestial beings, he said to his driver Matali that let us go to pay respect to the relics of the Buddha. He said that, as Venerable Saktivi said, the relic is the living Buddha. So in Pali, you call it Same Chitte Samang Palang. When you keep the same mind, thinking that, as Venerable Soktivi mentioned, that this is the Buddha, even this is a statue, but at that time, I mean, at that moment, when you cultivate that mentality towards the Buddha statue, thinking that this is the real Buddha, you just image, you just think that now I am respecting, put my two arms, put my palms, uh, uh, respect the Buddha. So, and through doing this, we express our gratitude and respect and so on. And so what we are doing is, we Buddhists, that we respect the one should be respected. So there is a hierarchical order that we have to start from the Buddha, because then Dhamma and Sangha. That is why we bathe the Buddha, and even we can't bathe the Dhamma, but we pay respect. Then we bathe the monks, and after that we pay respect, pay gratitude to our parents, and not only that, our elders. Uh, and according Buddhist philosophy, we have to even pay respect to our elder brothers, elder sisters, father-in-law, mother-in-law. So these kinds of, besides the gratitude, it's kinds of respect, and it also reflects that we have to forget whatever we have done, by mistake or by intention. Whatever the action in the past, uh, you must cleanse it up. You must forget it by using the water of forgiveness. And I mean, your body is it's out of dirtiness, so you are a new person. So we have to respect and be grateful of being human, of living together as a human. We must do good things while we are alive. So a lot of connection in that ritual. So that's all, sister Sakon, from me.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very insightful. And so New Year, or like Venerable Octavia mentioned, is it Vera Lang Sat, right? It's a transitional old year to the new year. And we want to make sure that we do a real good deed, real good actions by make sure that we have practice our good verbal, physical, and good mind. And Venus activity, I just I like also I did mention you mentioned about using the torch when you use the torch touching the water, and the water is very flexible. And Venerable One Kibra made a really good point on that, because water being flexible is very important for even our attitude and our mind. When we're flexible, we tend to, so we can change a lot easier, and cooling the heart, cooling down the heart, and it's amazing expressions. I really like that. And what is it? It's so basically like we are like during the year, like both Venerable had mentions that it is a Venerable Hemmer said that it's a reflections. What is it that we want to change at the end of the year? We must clean our heart. We even declutter our house as well. For to make to welcome the new angel that we believe. And we need to drop the clean, and we need to appreciate all the people, give the gratitude to the people at the end of the year. And it's a way of reflecting and beginning of the year. It's a journey to start with a new good mind, good heart. And so now that we have known and have learned so far so we're going to move on to the next question. This is probably will be the final questions. What is the important lesson of this particular celebration for us and the new generation to come in Khmer society from the homeland and around the world? What would be the lesson that we all can learn, and what can we learn from impression morales, perhaps to improve? So even if the audience have any questions, we can also ask our expert as well. But I don't see we have any yet. But Venerable Soktevi, would you like to? What is the important lesson of this particular celebration for us and the new generation?
First of all, we are not an expert, okay?
Well, experience. Let's say experience expert.
We just share the experience
yes.
Since very younghood that we've been celebrating and joining this special occasion of Cambodian New Year, especially as a young temple boy, and then the young novice monk living in the temple. So we have observed many years of the celebration. That's why this is what we can share. And this question is about the benefit and the lesson learned we can get from basing the Buddha statues or basing the monks and the elders. Yeah, just like we've been sharing some of the thoughts already, it has the spiritual benefit. Let me just put it in words. By so doing, by celebrating or doing the ritual of basing the Buddha, the monks, and the elders, we can gain a lot of blessings. So what are the blessings that from the New Year blessing that we can gain from this ritual? First thing that we can see is the solidarity. Okay, samaki. Okay, solidarity is very important. People come together, so they help each other. Then it's the blessing. We need solidarity especially in our society. We must have solidarity. Secondly, it's about gratitude towards the Buddha. We base the Buddha because we express our gratitude, right? We base the monks, the parents, the grandparents, and elders and seniors because we want to express our gratitude towards them. As senior, they have done so much towards the young generation, so that we give respect, right? The gratitude, respect. On the other hand, it's a merit-making activity. as Buddhists, as Cambodian Buddhists, we always believe in uh, merit, right? We expect merit. Even some people say we should not do merit just to expect a merit in return. But as a matter of fact, whatever we do, we always think, oh, do like this, we will gain bond, we will gain merit. Yeah, that's the normal idea basically. And then the another word, it's good environment. When we do the cleaning up, the Buddha statues in the temple, cleaning up the temple compound, the shrine hall, the dining hall, the sacred places like the Bodhi tree, we should all clean up. Not only the Buddha statue, just remember that if you go to the temple, you can clean up everything, even to have the monk clean the plates and things, after eating. This is also kind of blessing, right? If you eat and you just keep all the dirty food all over the places, throw the trash, in the temple. This is what we always witness after each celebration in Cambodia. Yeah, so this is one of the important point to be raised. Venerable Kassapa make sure that after each and every celebration, make sure that the trash is clean, everything is clean, the temple is clean. But decades ago, 1 or 2 decades ago, when I was in Cambodia, I observed that every celebration, after the celebration, only the monk who show up and clean all the trash and dirt in the temple. This is not a blessing, okay? You bring everything to the temple, make sure you bring it back or you clean it up. Don't leave it for the monks to serve you, okay? To clean up your trash. Then this is in terms of good environment. When we do so, we have friendly and good environment to live, which is the cause of blessing. And the last one, the New Year blessing, just like I said, New Year blessing comes from our own good deed, the good deed through the way we speak, the good deed through the way we act, and the good deed through the way we think. So by using water as a symbol, we kind of see to the coolness that the water has. The nature of the water is cool. The nature of the water is flexible. The nature of the water can wash any dirt things. So in the same way, the dirty mind can be cleansed by the water of the Dhamma. So I wish everybody the blessing of all the New Year. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Beautiful. And Venerable on camera. What is the important lessons of this particular celebration or significance? Sorry.
Okay.
Or yeah, what last word that you would give for generation to come in Khmer societies for around the world?
Okay. Good. I think in order to preserve the culture, you need the you call it the physical entities, kinds of making kinds of different games, the traditional games, but those are just I would call it metaphor or the examples that reflecting about our spirituality, what we should cultivate by attending different kinds of rituals during the new year. As Venerable Soktavi said, I totally agree, because through each and every activity, you have to cultivate something within you. This is the real blessing. So, as I mentioned, we cultivate the forgiveness. As human, we make mistake. Even monks make mistake. Even our mom, our dad, as husband and wife, we go through different obstacles in life, making mistake. So when we learn to forgive, it's a blessing. Even we don't live with each other again, but when we learn to forgive, it's a coolness. You know, we are not burned by anger, by ill will, by hatred. So we learn to forgive, we learn to let it go. So this is another kind of practice. And as you know, during the new year, as Venerable Sakti said, our women cook a lot. So it's kinds of generosity you practice, even not only for the monks. You know that I also having lunch at the temple after the month. So sometimes you cook very delicious food, you bring everyone there, and sometimes it kinds of greediness that you want to show off that your dish is better than anyone. So you know, it kinds of sharing we practice during the new year. So my suggestion is you have to look beyond your activity, what kinds of spiritualities or inner qualities you can cultivate during the new year, which bring the real blessing for your life. So, and let me wrap up. You cultivate a lot, like generosity, gratefulness, forgiveness, as purification, respect, sanitation, and so on. So, my final request is our young generation, you have to look beyond the activities you do, what kinds of mental qualities you are cultivating during the new year, which will be the real blessing for your life. So happy new year, and happy new year to, I mean, every nationalities like Sri Lanka and so on. So thank you, Sister Sapan.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you. Happy Khmer New Year, Khmer and every Nepal, the Thai, Laos, Nepal New Year. And thank you so much. So like we learned from our speakers that we have to make sure that we do good deeds and good actions, and we'll want to make sure to look beyond of your spiritual, what can you do, and also you also want to make sure that it's not by luck. So everything that we do is not by luck. We have to earn that. We have to earn that action. We have to earn that deed in order to get the blessing. And so our time is coming to the end. And so before we end a live show, I'd like to share this merits from this Dhamma Dana to everyone in the whole universe, and may all be happy and peaceful. And once again, thank you, our Honorable Venerables here, Venerable on camera and Venerable TV, for sharing with us today. And finally, I'd like to express sincere thanks to the Mega Life team staff and our technical support, Sister Boboga, for providing such a wonderful support to make this program possible. And last but least, last and not least, but least, so I wanted to say thank you for all our followers for following us today. And now let us spend time for a few minutes practicing metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation, which will be instructed by Venerable Gaspar Hong Camera.
Hello everyone. Let us practice loving friendliness meditation for oneself. Self-loving friendliness meditation is the first section of metta meditation. Self-loving friendliness meditation is designed to direct you to happily take care of yourself, to honestly forgive yourself, to truly accept yourself without conditions. Before starting, please find a very comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Relax your head, your shoulders, your arms, and your entire body. Please slowly take a very deep breath 3 times. When it is done, let your breath flow as naturally as it does. Observe your breath without judgment, reactions, and criticism. Just merely observe it as the way it is while you are listening to my Pali Metta chanting. Aham avero Now, please create a very tender smile on your face. Visualize your happy and smiling face. You are very happy person with smiling face. Please keep smiling with honest heart, because you are going to bless yourself. Please be aware of the phrases which I am going to recite, and let yourself honestly feel the real meanings of the phrases. May I be well and happy. May I be free from hatred. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from anger. May I be free from physical and mental sufferings. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. your right hand and place it on your chest, and you can mentally repeat after me. In this home, we are family. We live under the same shelter, so we must be kind to each other, be compassionate to each other, be friendly to each other, help each other, respect one another, be happy every day, keep smiling with honest heart, be grateful, be positive, forgive even when it's really hard. Before open your eyes, please take again a very deep breath 3 times. Thank you. May you be well and happy.